This is a Bloody Vegans production.
My name is Jim. This is my podcast, The Bloody Vegans. You're very welcome to it. It's been a while, hasn't it? I do apologise for not releasing an episode for quite some time. I think it's about September, which is kind of a bit crazy and against all of the advice that I would give as a podcast producer. However, as I just mentioned, being a podcast producer for other shows, I've been super busy recently. So I'll tell you a little bit about what's been going on in the world of Bloody Vegans. So as some of you may know, I run a company called Bloody Vegans Productions, and we make all kinds of shows for lots of different people. So the Veganuary podcast, for example, which some of you may have listened to, that is a Bloody Vegans production, as is Think Like a Vegan, which is a wonderful show featuring the amazing author Emmy Leese, amongst others. You can go to bloodyvegansproductions.com and find out more. Also, very excitingly, Bloody Vegans Productions is opening up a sister company called Creative Content Studio, which is going to be based in West Berkshire, just east of Newbury. And what we're going to be doing there is we're going to have a studio that makes podcasts. So you can come in, you can record a podcast, you'll have all the cameras, you'll have all the audio, all the lights, all the kind of stuff to make your podcast look amazing. We'll have different sets so you can make it look different for your show, make it on brand, and then we'll record it for you. And if you want to, we can also edit it for you and can also publish it for you. So that's going to be opening in the middle of February, and that has kept me very busy, as has producing all these shows for other people. So I do apologise. However, I didn't want to let you down any longer. I've let you down long enough. If you've listened to the show, I want to just sincere thank you for your support up to this point. So I didn't want to let you down any further. So firstly, to rectify that, I have recorded an episode, which I will tell you about in just a moment. But secondly, I'm going to be handing over the reins of hosting the Bloody Vegans podcast to a good friend of mine called Sue Joyce. She runs Little Green Pigeon, which was an amazing pigeon sanctuary. Now is a, forgive me if I get this wrong, community interest company, raising awareness for the plight of pigeons. Sue does amazing work within the vegan community, has done for many years, knows loads and loads of people, will be a fantastic host of this show. She's already recorded a ton of episodes, which I'm going to edit and get out to you soon. So rest assured, normal service will resume shortly with a much better host than me. So look out for this, look out for that. Watch this space. Sue Joyce, she's wonderful. She's going to be hosting the show coming soon. I should tell you about today's guest, though, which is an interview conducted by myself. I interviewed Jodie Barchha Lang, Green Vegan, you may know her as on Instagram if you are an Instagram user. Jodie's amazing. She wrote the book Nero, the Brave Little Bull. We have had her on the show a couple of times actually talking about various things. She came on to talk about Nero, the Brave Little Bull. She also came on with Billy from Sanctuary down in Kent, who's doing some wonderful work. That was a fairly recent episode, recent-ish, based on what I just said about not releasing a podcast for a while, but she came on that show too. So we're going to be chatting to her. She works at the NHS Trust in the Wirral, and along with her partner Phil, they have embarked on an amazing campaign to get vegan options into the workplace, to get people to focus on veganism, to host some talks with some wonderful speakers, the likes of Dr. Desmond, Dr. Alan Desmond, another former guest on this show, to help educate, I guess, the employees of the NHS Trust in the Wirral to adopt a plant-based vegan lifestyle, learn more about it, learn the benefits not only for themselves but obviously for the animals, for the planet, etc. So she's going to be talking about that. She's alongside a guy called Neil Perris, who works for the NHS Trust at the Wirral and helped Jodie and Phil get the campaign off the ground and launch it. So without further ado, here's a conversation between me, Jodie, Phil and Neil from the NHS Trust at the Wirral. Jodie, Phil, awesome to have you with us. It'd be great just to familiarise our audience with yourselves. Let's have a little introduction. Just each of you go around in turn. Just tell us who you are and what you're here to talk about today.
Hi, I'm Phil, and we are here today to talk about Veganuary.
Hi, I'm Neil. I'm the Equity, Diversity and Inclusion Lead. I have to remember the job description, it keeps changing. Wirral Community Health and Care NHS Foundation Trust, another mouthful. And I've been kind of supporting Phil and Jodie in the background around their work around Veganuary. So, yeah, a really interesting journey.
And Jodie, most of our listeners will know you from a couple of appearances now on the show. But for those who don't, tell us who you are and yeah.
So in this capacity, my name's Jodie and I work for this trust, and we're here today to talk about our very first Veganuary Workplace Challenge.
Okie doke. So tell us a little bit more. What is a Veganuary Workplace Challenge? Neil, it'd be good to get your point of view on this one.
Okay, so just as a bit of context, really, across the year, as Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Lead, I get involved in supporting all sorts of people across the organisation around campaigns, whether it's health campaigns or whatever. Phil and Jodie approached me back in, must have been October time, around doing something around veganism as an option. We have quite a big and broad health and wellbeing offer to staff across the organisation. And veganism, we thought, maybe probably hasn't had the attention it deserves. So why not do something that challenges people to consider plant-based as an option, as a way of changing the diet, improving the health, and then, considering some of those ethical considerations as well. So that's kind of how it started.
Amazing. And from your perspectives, Jodie and Phil, like what was the kind of the seed of inspiration for you both to want to bring this challenge to Neil and to the wider NHS, as it were?
Well, I think for me, I work on a ward and I've noticed more and more patients coming in that are vegan, and there are staff as well. And so there's kind of like a little bit of a gap in the education of that. Staff will often come to me on the ward and ask me, I don't really know about this. Can you tell me about this? Obviously they've got all things to follow for the patients, but they're wanting to broaden their knowledge of what veganism is and what people can and can't eat. And I just think it's a great opportunity for the trust to be kind of more inclusive of that. It's not a thing that needs to be divisive of we're over here and you're over here. It's like an opportunity, I suppose, to fill this educational gap and reassess our relationship with food, because we are an NHS trust. We do focus a lot on well-being, and if we don't question our diets, we kind of leave ourselves vulnerable and open to illness at the cost of the NHS. And I think, people coming together to make change is just a really positive thing. I think one of the most dangerous things that human beings say is we've always done it this way. And we're stuck this way. And I think as a trust, becoming more inclusive of vegan diets is a positive move forward that can work collaboratively with the existing wellbeing team that we've got in place already. So, yeah.
And so how does it look? Like, tell us a little bit, maybe Phil, about the challenge itself. What is it? How have you kind of brought it to the folks at the trust?
So we've been raising awareness in the best way that we can do that. And we've been doing that with the help of many individuals, not just here within the organisation, but outside of the organisation as well. So we've had help from our communications teams. We've been putting out bulletins within the comms, which is put out to the organisation on a regular basis. And we've led into organising this Veganuary event, with part of the Workplace Challenge being pledged to sign up for Veganuary. Now, obviously, not everybody is going to be able to just go and fully sign up for Veganuary, but if someone can do perhaps one meal or two meals, then I think we've made a difference just in that alone. And it's getting people on board with this and getting people to embrace the challenge throughout January.
Yeah, we were really lucky. We received some funding from the plant-based health professionals. They did you had to put an application in. So we put an application in and we were awarded the funding, which was absolutely brilliant because it's enabled us to do so many things. And we brought speakers in, such as Dr. Desmond. We talked about gut health. We've got Dr. Ishani Rayo and Dr. Manil Patel, all talking about nutrition, fitness, health. Where do you get your protein? And it was great that Neil allowed us to open that up to other NHS trusts as well. So the trusts where these doctors are working brought all of their staff in as well. So we were able to have such a great big pool of people come online. Our initial plan, it's a learning process for us. It's the first time we do it. We were going to hire a room and get a speaker in, and then we kind of chatted it through with Dr. Ishani Rayo. Came up with the great idea of doing it on Teams as an NHS trust. That's the platform that we use. We were able to broaden that so much for other people. Absolutely overwhelmed with the feedback that's come back after the first talk. After Dr. Desmond, people have come to us and said, wow, completely different to what I thought. I thought it was going to be, very kind of controversial and in your face. We've learned a lot of things. We're changing our diet. We're more aware of kind of what happens when we eat in a bad way. And we've just been receiving emails over the last 2 days. We're thinking of starting a fan club, but it's just been really heartwarming for this. And Neil has been kind of an imperative part of that, really, helping us put this together and push it forward, and communicate with comms and get the plan put together. We've had screensavers going out and all different kinds of things. So it's been a very demanding, hard work week, but very rewarding as well at the same time. I think for us as our NHS Trust to kind of be flagship in the first kind of way forward with that as we are. So yeah,
I think it's worth saying that this is something that we've been able to be really inclusive about, because we decided to do our Veganuary talks on Teams, and so that means that because it's virtual, people can join from anywhere. And once we invited in essentially everybody else from the NHS, we were overwhelmed with the response that we got. It was just shared by other trusts doing exactly the same sort of campaigns. But it seems that no one else has thought about doing talks on Teams before. So we think it's a first, which is really, really nice to hear. And we've had so much positive feedback after our first talk. It's been really overwhelming, really, really good.
Yeah.
And it's been a great campaign so far, but there's more to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to add, it's great to be kind of one of the first NHS trusts involved in that. And it's amazing to see the success that Phil and Jodie have made of it. And it is down to their personal commitment. And, it's not been without its challenges. And, the tenacity that both of them have shown has been amazing. It's really paid off. In terms of surprising people, I think Dr. Desmond was fantastic and had that ability to connect with people on an issue that can be seen as quite partisan in some ways. And he just brushed all of that aside completely and just spoke really intelligently about the options that we all have, and it was just fantastic and really worked to engage a lot of people. We won't get in, but we've seen complete turnarounds in people's attitudes in the organisation. It's been great.
Yeah, we really have. We've had people emailing us about saying, wow, we've not thought about doing this in our NHS. This is amazing. And I think, we were kind of a little bit worried about how people would be, but I was very confident that Alan Desmond would come along and lay the platform down. I would absolutely trust him 100%, and he did exactly that. And he's now kind of, led the platform to a positive way for Manil Patel and Ishani Rayo to come in and speak as well. So we're just over the moon that we've had such positive feedback, and I'm really grateful for the work Neil has done to help us as well.
Do you think there was an air of skepticism around, prior to Dr. Desmond's talk, and maybe around the whole challenge? Was that a feeling that you got from some of the people who maybe attended and have fed back since?
100%. There was a lot of people who were very sceptical about the whole veganism challenge, and it's great to see the change in some of those people. It's very evident. In fact, we've got so many emails thanking us for running such a great campaign, and we've got one such email just today. Indeed, someone who was just thanking us for making her think about how she eats and her relationship with food in general. And it's exactly what we set out to achieve when we were looking to run the Veganuary campaign.
Yeah, I mean, it would be fabulous if everybody was vegan, but we have to be realistic in the fact that sort of change for some people happens in a different way. And if somebody was completely anti-vegan before, anti-eating plant-based diet, and then they, make small changes and then a few more changes, that's, every little step is an achievement, I think. But to even have the amount of people that have stood up and listened has just been fabulous. There was, I feel, at the beginning, much resistance, and now that's completely changed around the other way, even with some of our own staff that have messaged us and said, hands up, thank you very much. But we're sitting here talking about this, it's not really us. We just came up with the idea and started putting things in motion. It's down to the fantastic speakers that we've got. It's down to Neil helping us put a plan together and bring the trust on board. It's down to our comms team who've pushed out all the messages and screensavers and little links that people can follow. So it's been a team effort, really. I think it's just a lovely positive thing for us to have done, and I think we're going to need a holiday at the end of it. I'm not joking. It's a lot of work. I think we'll probably get to do our own jobs that we're supposed to be doing after this finishes. But yeah, just great. Really happy.
And I'm looking forward to trying all the plant-based options tomorrow at the tasting event as well. We have been so fortunate as well that lots of brands have sent us lots of different things. So Oatly, we asked them for if they wanted to put some samples, thinking, we'd have a few little samples. 15 boxes of Oatly arrived on the doorstep deliciously. Ella has sent stuff, and Tofu have sent stuff. So we've got, a nice little range of things for people to try. And we are focusing mainly on having, plant-based food rather than heavily processed, sausage roll and pastries, vegan sausage roll and pastries and things. We're focusing really a lot on health and having as minimally processed as possible, because that's what the avenue that we're aiming for, really.
If we're going to drop names, and we should also mention Quorn, because they sent us stuff too.
Quorn did send us stuff as well. Yeah, they did. So we've been really, really fortunate, really, really fortunate. So.
Can you give us a flavour of the kind of skepticism that was out there that you were sort of experiencing with the campaign? Like, was it? I'm just intrigued as to what has sort of seeped into the psyche of folks who are perhaps a bit sceptical. Was it things like, oh, I've heard it's really processed, or I've heard you'll be deficient in X? What were the kind of things that you were hearing?
I think, and certainly speaking to some of my colleagues, because there is, the word vegan means a lot of things to different people. And I think, unfortunately, and I hope that this will change, there can be a lot of stigmatism around the word vegan, that they think that you're going to kind of barge in the room and tell them what they should and shouldn't be eating in a negative way. And I think that people thought, oh, here we go, you know, we're going to be dictated to, we're going to be told what we should and shouldn't be eating. Whereas we've done it in a really kind of open, inclusive way of, here is the information, here are the doctors, this is what they're telling you. You can take that away and process it how you like. And so I think in answer to your question, it was, oh, here come the vegans, the bloody vegans.
Yeah, just from a equality, diversity, inclusion perspective, I think it was very much that. And in my day-to-day job, I'm used to seeing people having lots of small, relatively inoffensive assumptions about different groups of people, vegans being one of them. And it takes this kind of approach really to change that, just that gradual chipping away, not pressurizing people to think correctly, but offering them information and advice and guidance and alternative ways of thinking about things. And it really does start to turn people around and open people's eyes to different possibilities.
You know, it's just kind of like bringing in things such as developing things maybe in our canteen and being aware that, you know, there's lots of things that come under the umbrella of, you know, should we be concentrating on when staff are going to meetings? So Phil and I have both been to staff events where there previously wasn't any food or drink, where now there is, because the education is broadening. We used to have our staff events at a race course, which obviously we wouldn't attend because of the animal welfare connotations attached to that. So I think lots of things are changing in our trust in a positive way. And as Neil said, you know, there was previously this wall and this, you know, negative kind of opinion. We ourselves have heard people say comments that maybe are not so positive in the way that, oh, you shouldn't be vegan, whereas now they're like, you know, oh wow, you know, we understand this better and the information is out there. So it's growing, it's developing, and it's just a good way forward, I think.
What do you kind of hope the impact will be? Obviously, we hope everyone's going to go vegan. But outside of that, like, what do you think are the kind of the wider impacts of this campaign, or at least you hope there will be?
Well, hopefully people will think about what they eat and make better choices in what they eat. But that has a knock-on effect. It has a wider impact. Just choosing to have alternatives or using the vegan swap formulas on many places that you can find around the internet. For instance, you know, what would you swap milk for, or what would you swap mince for, or these sorts of things. You've got to think then about the environmental impact for each of those swaps. And every time someone swaps something, it has an impact, and every little helps, to use the phrase.
Yeah. You know, it is, and it's what would we like out of this? We'd like to be the Trust vegan champions, and then we'd like to kind of develop things, and, you know, maybe support our food vendors and our canteens, and maybe hold more educational sessions and things like that, just to continue to raise awareness. I think continue to develop what we've done on the basis already.
We have had loads of ideas, haven't we, that we can take forward, and all of those links into, you know, kind of health and well-being, just that general sense of inclusion and understanding each other better, being more tolerant of each other, and taking on new ideas. There's all the green stuff that we referenced, isn't there, and all that environmental impact. And, you know, it's before we go anywhere near any animal rights stuff and all the rest. So it's so exciting to get involved in it.
Obviously, like the campaign is targeted at folks who work in the NHS, and that's incredible. I take it one of the big impacts potentially is going to be the the way in which those NHS colleagues show up for vegan patients too. I mean, I'm thinking back to, thankfully, I've had, touch wood, very little contact with the NHS in the last few years, outside of the birth of my little boy, who is now 6. So that wasn't that recent, but and they were incredible, I must say, down here in Hampshire. But what was interesting to us, not surprising, but was when we talked about the vegan thing, it was definitely like, yeah, you can't really do that. That's not going to work. And that came from like GP through to when we were about to leave the hospital and Kate was breastfeeding and so on. And there was a huge skepticism there, and there was very little food for her to eat. So I ended up bringing food in and stuff like that. Is one of the hopes that folks will show up for their patients in a more inclusive way?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things that we really hope will happen, especially like on the ward. That they've now got posters up and people are questioning, oh, this patient's vegan, what do we need to be aware of? So we can't, they've got to put the things and not butter the toast somewhere else because they can't put it in the. Do you know what I mean? It's just educating people on this way of life and this diet as well. And I think, we've got sort of hospital posters that we're hoping to put up of, choices that can be made as well, diet, inclusive things that can be ordered, and just change that whole perspective on that. Because I think some people, they just don't know. It's not a wall. It's not an ignorance that they are purposely doing. They just genuinely don't know, and it's
also about breaking walls down to an extent by putting that information out there, becoming more tolerant towards vegan practices and understanding it better. Means that change can be easier to make, and rolling the change out is what we're attempting to do. People are responding to this, so. It's not to say that further changes could not be recognised there.
Let's talk about the talks a little bit further, if that's all right. So, Dr. Desmond, I've been lucky enough to have him on the show. I know his work very well. He's incredible. I'm not surprised at all that he had such a positive reception. Excellent speaker, incredibly knowledgeable, and makes I'm just a layman, but makes some complex information seem very easy and palatable, and has got that sort of gift. I guess that was very purposeful in your choice of first speaker.
Well, to be honest, when he said yes, we were like, whoa, because I'm not being, I'd be the person waiting backstage to have a photo with him. He was a superstar. When he said yes, we were just so amazed and so grateful for that, because I thought, well, if anybody else sees this, the people that see this, they'll just be like, well, I'm listening now. So I think, the other speakers now, that the way has been laid for them. They haven't got the negativity, because he's already ironed that out. He came along and went, and so I think, Dr. Patel is fabulous as well. He's been on a panel, at the camp out, because there's this whole controversy about soy giving you like man boobs or making people grow bigger boobs, which I think is incredible, because if soy did that, we wouldn't have breast implants. We'd just all be going to buy soy milk, wouldn't we? Yeah, and he always wears this T-shirt when he does his talk, Soy Boy, which just makes me laugh every time. Incredible. But we've got quite a lot of physiotherapists on his talk, interested in fitness, which is his expertise. And then Dr. Ishani Rayo is going to kind of do an all-round talk on nutrition and, what we can eat, what we can swap out, how we can make life easier with a vegan diet. and things like that. And these doctors have been fabulous in the fact that, we've got such a short time for Q&A. So they've said, if people have questions afterwards, they can always email you with them and then we'll send them through. So everybody gets their questions answered as well. And then we've sent out recordings because people wanted a recording of Alan's talk, which he was quite happy for us to do. So people got a copy of that as well. And then our comms have put a link. They're really helpful with that. They've put a link out so people can go back and watch it. So it's just been great. I'm just going to be on a high for the next week. It's just, it's great.
It's also great that the Trust, Wirral Community Health and Care, NHS Foundation Trust, just have to get that in there, has gone on board with this whole veganism in the workplace. And we got support with that from, a fairly early on this year. But the Trust has been supportive of what we do. And I think that's really, really key to be able to run these campaigns. We couldn't have done this without the support of the organisation involved. And it's great to have the support of Neil, who's been imperative really through this campaign, and our communications team. This really is a collaborative approach. This isn't just us. We're the faces of it because we're the people that appear on the team sessions. So we're the faces that people will see. And yes, we do a lot of hard work, but we haven't done this alone. The fact that this has been shared by so many other teams outside of this organisation, as well as dedicated teams within this organisation, just makes all of the difference. And we're very grateful for that because it really has been quite supportive from the organisation.
Yeah.
And onwards and upwards for next year, that collaboration is going to grow, isn't it?
Well, it is. It is. There's a whole piece about the workforce, healthy eating, and so on that's likely to come out within the NHS. So this fits right in with all of that. So I think we've kind of adopted it all very early, really. We've certainly laid the groundwork for this. But it has wider ramifications as well, because as the acceptance of veganism in the workplace and the whole vegan acceptance by people who aren't as reticent as they used to be, are more willing to embrace that, then the care that we can start giving our patients is better understood. And ultimately, that's what we've got to remember here. We're the NHS, and it's all about the patients. And really, we should be giving them the best care that we can. And of course, we do. But striving to improve. This is one way that we can improve and enhance the care that we give.
Yeah, and I mean the changes that are already evident. There's people giving out fruit now making sure there's a fruit bowl on every ward, and there's also so when we first planned our event, our taster event, it was just us, and then since then we've had our wellbeing team link in with us and sent us some documents about stuff that they're doing to get children eating more fruit and vegetables. So they're going to come and join us on our stand. So it's a real kind of nice team collaborative working, not this divisive thing that people have, this idea that we should be in this corner and they should be in this corner. We can make this work together, we can join it together, and we can move forward together.
I love it. What a great campaign. I think it would be fantastic to see that across the whole NHS at some point. It would be, and to have started with the Wirral Trust, it would be amazing. And more power to you all for getting behind this.
We just want to say a big thank you to the community out there, all the people that have joined the talks, all of the people that have shared, liked, cared, put it in their staff room, put it in their trust, shared it on social media, the companies that have sent us samples, the plant-based health professionals, the speakers, Alan, Desmond, Neil Patel and Ishani Rayo, the Trust, Neil, our communications team, just all of the support that we've had, because, you can't really make anything move. One person can make a small change, but together we can make massive change. So all of these people that have helped us, and if there is anyone I've missed, I am really sorry. But thank you very much. from us.
Amazing. What a campaign. Thank you all for the work you do in the NHS more broadly. We all appreciate it as our humble folks outside of it. And, you know, thank you for the work you're doing to spread the great word about veganism within the trust and hopefully beyond. Just wonderful. More power to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
This is a Bloody Vegans production.